everyone, my name is Lim Munikeo. I am 12 years old. I am studying in 7th grade from American Global Prep School. Today I chose a topic called Animal Learning Behaviors. I chose this topic because I love animals and I feel like we all should learn more about animal behaviors. As human beings, it is important to know about animals' behaviors. It's important since some of us have pets of our own, so it's very beneficial to learn more about their behaviors. We never had to learn how to jerk our hand away from a hot stovetop. That is a natural reflex. Nobody taught it to us, and we basically adapted it on our own. So next I'm going to talk about what are animal learning behaviors. Animal learning behaviors are things that an animal discovers through trial, error, and observation. There are 3 types of animal learning behaviors. Number 1, habituation. Number 2, imprinting. And number 3, conditioning. So first I'm going to talk about habituation. What is habituation? Habituation is when an animal learns not to respond to a repeated stimulus that conveys little or no important information. For example, your ears detect a clock ticking sound. After a while, your brain stops paying attention to the sound. Likewise, scarecrows can keep birds away from a garden for a time. Eventually, the birds become habituated to the scarecrow and may even land on it on the way to the garden. Next, I'm going to be talking about imprinting. What is imprinting? Imprinting is learning that limited to a specific time period in an animal's life and that is usually irreversible. For example, you're used to living in your childhood home until one day you had to move out into a new home. You can notice that you have not adapted to your new home and you may feel out of place. Similarly, in a famous story, Conrad Lorenz separated a batch of eggs from a nest, leaving some with the mother duck and some in an incubator. When the ducks in the nest hatched, they showed normal behavior, which is following their mother, whereas the ducks in the incubator spent the first 2 days with Lorenz rather than with their mother. From then on, they followed Lorenz, showing no recognition of their mother or any of their own species. The picture on the left is normal behavior of ducks, which is following their mother. The picture on the right are the ducks that grew up in the incubator that spent the first 2 days with Lorenz and are now following Lorenz because they saw Lorenz first. Next, I'm going to be talking about conditioning. What is conditioning? Conditioning is learning that a particular stimulus or a particular response is linked to a reward or a punishment. For example, if you have a pet, you may have experienced some conditioning. If you have a pet, you may have observed some conditioning experiences. For example, a cat may associate the sound of a can opener with mealtime. A dog may associate hand signals or command with a particular behavior like heeling or laying down. The scientist Ivan Pavlov conducted a famous experiment on classical conditioning in which he trained a dog to salivate at the sound of a bell. This is a picture of the experiment of Ivan. First, he put a bowl of food which made the dog salivate. Then he rang a bell which is not associated with food and the dog did not salivate. Then he continued to ring the bell every time he fed the dog food. So even when there is no food and when Ivan rings the bell, the dog will always salivate. So this comes to the end of my presentation and now I want to summarize my main points. The main points are, number 1, habituation. Habituation is when an animal learns not to respond to a repeated stimulus that conveys little or no important information. Number 2, imprinting. Imprinting is learning that limited to a specific time period in an animal's life that is usually irreversible. And lastly, conditioning. Conditioning is learning that a particular stimulus or a particular response is linked to a reward or a punishment. Thank you for your attention. I hope you have a growing appreciation towards animal learning behavior.